Hello everyone, this is Dawn here with an update. Look a little bit disheveled, and I am. That's intentional because they asked me just to be super real in this video. This was going to make this video. I've been away. I was in Texas for 3 weeks. I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. And there was a point at which I knew I was intended to, make a video, but was able to, and through some conversation with my team, to delay that until I got back. And the promise was that I would do it today. This is my one day back at home, and then I'll be traveling again off to the UK and then some other places in the US when I get back. So it is date July the 10th, 2018. Not sure where to start. They asked me just to share from my heart. As you can see, I'm a little bit vulnerable today. And I knew this would be the case regardless, but it's hitting me actually a little stronger than I thought it might. So I'm just going to try to get through this and share what I know that they, my team, and in particular, when I say my team, for me, primarily, that is Yeshua, Jesus, who has walked with me for so many years and will continue to, and I will continue to walk with him, and that is my joy in this life. Primarily Jesus. Also, some of the particular angels and archangels that frequently assist me on my journey at various points are a part of my team, and then various people that have been significant in my life who have passed on, who I know watch over me, and I'm so grateful for that as well. So, let me just take a moment. Last night, this is my first night home in about a month, and I live in north of Atlanta in Georgia in the United States, and I was able to sleep on the screened-in porch, which I so love, and I was listening to all the sounds here at the lake. The geese were out, and the ducks. I believe a deer walked by, and it was such a solace. I kept waking up and just appreciating the wonder and the beauty. And I think that's where I want to start. I want to start with that because I've had an opportunity in the last month to really reflect, as I know many of us are, and that will continue this month here in July, throughout the summer really, until we're through the eclipses, and then we'll move into the autumn, and a new energy will be with us at that point. But last night when I was listening to all the sounds, and even right now, I don't know if you can hear them on the video, but there are little insects here in the I don't know if they're crickets or anyway, something is singing back there, and it's so beautiful. And where I was headed was the biggest reminder. So I had a lot of opportunity for reflection in the last 3 weeks, and I also was intentionally guided to be where I was to do certain processes that are related to my own, to myself and my twin, and to collective energies as well, which was a surprise to me. I did not anticipate that, but it was, divinely orchestrated on a number of levels that I was where I was, and during the month of late June, and I'm grateful for that. But it was an interesting mix. Like, it was these very intense, the most intense I've ever experienced in my life. Energetic, me being asked to hold or anchor in. Well, it wasn't just the normal anchoring of light in a place, but it was also a clearing of the really deep and dark energetic residue that was in various locations, some of which I understood what it was about and some of which I didn't know the specifics of, but was guided. And then, so there was that. It was very, very grueling, and it required a lot of intense focus on my part. And then there were these moments of just, space where I painted a lot, and that was really a big blessing. By the way, if you would like to follow my painting, I do have a Facebook page called at Dawn Richardson Art, also on Instagram, and I've finally reinstituted my website, dawnrichardsonart.com, and I would love it if you feel drawn to do that, to follow me there. Okay, I'm going somewhere, just bear with me, it's coming out gobbledy. But so I was doing these processes that I was guided to do, and then I had a lot of time just to reflect and paint and be. I was taking care of a lovely dog out there, and in quite a nice home that was, I was kind of dreading Texas because, it was my summer of serendipity, but this was like the dip part, and but it turns out that I was provided this place on top of a hill overlooking a beautiful turquoise lake, and there were gorgeous sunsets every night, and there was a valley, and there were trees. So it was a real gift, and I had quite an opportunity, and because some things had shifted for me just before I took this trip, there were new possibilities to integrate, which I did successfully, and I had to, also, let go of the outcomes, and so right now, at the moment, dealing a bit with some of the allowing myself to be where I am with that. I'll get to more of that in a sec. But beauty, what I want to say is that I was gifted in several ways with the remembrance and the reminder that my gifts and my work, in terms of an appreciation of beauty and simply sharing from my heart, does matter. And there can be so many ways that it seems it doesn't matter and it's insignificant, and no one, my gifts never connect, and I write these books, and I share these seeds for life, and I paint these paintings, and I try to capture it, and I take these photographs and I share them with such love, and often from my point of view they go nowhere, and there is it's just there, and it never connects. And then when I am able to connect one-on-one with someone, there's a spark, or there's a moment. But what my experience is often that then it's just me walking in the woods again. And but I was reminded so beautifully in such divine ways that is relevant, and it does matter. And it matters. What I'm making this video for is to tell you that who you are matters, and that you are here matters. And it's not about any external factor. It's not about, and I've always said this and believed this, but I was able to feel it in a new way in this last month. And I hope I can maintain my commitment with this new reminder. So one of the things that happened is so many things, but one, I was led on a hike through, really kind of grueling for me, through the Texas heat. It was like 103 that day, and it's like climbing over rocks, and then you get to the end and you think you're there, and then you have to actually do like rock climbing down this little hold on to ropes, like, I mean, serious. And then, but you arrive, and I'll put a picture, I'll use this as the cover for this video, but you arrive at this place that looks nothing like Texas. As a matter of fact, it reminded me very much of Ireland, and it was this gorgeous waterfall area, And I'll put the description below of what I saw there. And that was the first, big reminder of the fact that maybe no one will see this photo or have this experience, or I won't be able to ever effectively translate what I so want to translate, because this beauty that we are given, and not just in the earth but in ourselves, it's a salve. It's our salvation. It is what Jesus talked about when he invited us into a new way of being, and when he called us to him. And so that was a big reminder to me that it doesn't have to go anywhere, that my experience of it and my allowing that for myself, and then occasionally my sharing. By the way, I hope that got rid of the distractions. But anyway, my sharing of that from my heart, just by being on the way, just by faithfully following the call of spirit and the call of my intuition and going where I'm led, and me experiencing it, is the gift. It is a gift to me, to myself. And this is where I always get tripped up, because I'm like, well, I'm here to be of service. And so, but the reminder came again and again and again in these waves for me this last month, that that is the service. That loving yourself is the service. And so the second thing that happened to me, it was just such a gift, is on the way back, I made it a 2-day trip back. I drove. I chose to drive so I'd have my car. And so I drove back, and I spent the night in a lovely home. And the hostess just, was totally, divinely intended. And we had a lot in common. And, she just happened to have art supplies, and we talked about life and painting and God. And then she said, hey, I have a friend who's offering these, free readings for the month. And she described what the friend did. And I have wanted to do this for 5 years, but I was guided to wait until someone who knew someone personally introduced me. And so that happened. And so the morning I left, I went, and I was able to meet this lovely, lovely woman who just has such a gift, and could see my soul. And actually, one of the first things that she said was, that I have come, she asked me a question, and that really resonated about my creative gifts. And then she said, I have come to share beauty, to be a messenger of beauty. And that's significant for me so much, because my favorite artist, Nicholas Roerich, was called a messenger of beauty. And also because that is what I believe, that if we were able to see and to feel, if every human here was able to feel the beauty of their soul, and to connect with that, and to allow that to be at peace with that. And that's the part that's, of course, a challenge for me, and even who knows me knows that. But if we were able to just touch it and see it, and I have the experience often when I'm on my walks or my journeys, or just being the soul explorer that I am, I have those moments of touching it, and it is so beautiful. It just breaks you open, and you're filled with gratitude, like overflowing, like that picture on the card, that Ace of Cups card, like it's just overflowing with abundance and love and more life and more life. And so when I was having this connection, and this woman was talking about, that that the beauty that I could see to the soul of things and people, and see the beauty, and because I know in my heart, I have difficulty conveying this, which is accurate, I really do, but that I know in my heart, I feel it, that that's the solution, if you will. That's the key. That's the portal into which we need to step, so that we can, have that radical reclamation of the whole of who we are, so that we can have that radiant realization of who, and be unveiled, for the fullness of who we are and why we are here right now for one another. To come together and to celebrate, who we are individually, and then who we are together. It's extraordinary. And, she recognized that, and it was a real gift to me, because I often feel lost, like, no one quite sees. So it was just such a gift to be reminded. And I will stay on that path of connecting as much as I'm able to beauty within me and around me in this beautiful world, and in others, and to celebrate that, and I'll keep trying to convey it, to the best of my ability. And a couple other things happened for me personally. It's a bit of a personal share, as you can tell. I'm going to share something at the end that's more collective, but I'm going to get this personal stuff out first. The other thing that's really been up for me is, some things worked out earlier this year in the spring that felt like finally, oh wow, finally, it's going to be set, and I've got this to sustain me. I had a contract job, and some other things, and one by one, those were removed in ways that were quite frankly a little bizarre. But I was assured every time it happened that it was, again, divine intervention, if you will, and intention, or it was just time that either those things were up, or done, or there was, they were removed, to make way for something else, and I do trust that. But at the same time, it was a little like I had these things planned for this summer already, going, to England, and then a couple other places when I get back, and I won't be back home again until September. And I have no plan and no idea really where I'm gonna live, or, like what I'm going to do, and all of that. And in terms of the practical, which is always my challenge here, I've said it so many times recently to a couple of different people, like I just don't know the rules down here, how it's supposed to work. And I know I'm 53 and I've had a long time to master that, but it's been a challenge. So I do trust, however, that there is something really beautiful coming for myself and for all of us, for our world. This has been a month where we've had a lot on our collective radar that's been challenging. Whether I'm in the United States, and we've had issues that have really touched my heart deeply for a variety of reasons, with children being separated from their from the migrant families, and others who are seeking refuge, or coming in across the border for whatever reason, and and then we've had some things around the world that have been unstable, or unsteady. Unsteady is a good word. Unsteady is a word I think that most of us could identify with in terms of the energetic experience of late. And so I really don't feel like this is the video for me to offer much in terms of what to do about that, except I will say that from what my experience has been, from what I'm shown, it is important to remain in our authenticity, and to choose to act in accordance with the light and the life and the love that we know ourselves to be. So the next thing I want to do is give a bit of an update on where I am with regard to my own personal journey in terms of the sacred partnership path and the twin flame experience. The biggest thing that I needed to complete, because I made a promise that I was the work around sacred partnership in the book that I released. That is available if you're interested. And I was at a point. I was actually given a date back end of last year, that was in early February, that coincided with something that happened 19 years ago, and that seemed very intentional. And that date was, a choice point for me that I no longer would be. Oh gosh, I don't know the words, so forgive me. I don't want to say the wrong words here, but that it was a point at which there was a freedom for me personally, and I knew that, and I felt that from Spirit, in terms of my commitment to and my fulfillment of the promises that I made with regard to this interesting journey here on earth that some of us know well. If you are watching this and you are not 100% positive that you are not just called to the sacred partnership path, but that you are a twin flame, then this is not relevant. And so please do not read into this. But for me, my personal experience is that I most definitely am, and have always known this. And there's been no question about it. But in February, so I was given that point, and I knew I needed to finish the book. I had done the video series, but I wanted to finish that. And then there was this completion and energetic clearing that I needed to do with regard to because my energy because my energy is tied into this, my twin. I needed to do this for me as well as for us, him, and the collective. And so that's what I was doing last month, and portion of, not last month, not the entire month, but and was led to some particular places and experiences. So what I'm getting to is that I had decided already that I would complete these things, and I would then move on. And so I've had some time to reflect on that in the last month. And when I say move on, I just want to be clear that there will always be, it is what it is. My twin is who he is. I am who I am. We are who we are. That will not change. Nor will my deep love for that individual who is me. And yet, I have just come to a point in my own personal path where sometimes, someone said this to me very well recently. They said, and I don't remember their exact words, but it was essentially that, sometimes it's difficult when you see the soul and the heart and the soul of a person, and you know that they are simply denying their light and creating, kind of a false worlds around themselves, that it's very difficult because you see the truth and the beauty and the heart, and yet they're that individual's choices, and this can happen in any, not just in the twin flame land, but also in any experience in life. And we all have free will choices, and so when someone is choosing to express or to be or to act in accordance with a different set of beliefs and or criteria, or a refusal or denial or whatever it is that's driving them, or just simply a choice, that that it's difficult for those of us who see so deeply to abandon that, and particularly on this path, because it can feel like abandoning ourselves. And it's also difficult to simply see it for what it is and name it for what it is here and now in this reality. And for me, that really resonated, because for me, there was that was the only thing that's been keeping me, really since the end of 2016. It's been keeping me from moving forward in a different direction in my own life, because yeah, I guess honest, if I'm honest, because it seemed so pointless. It seemed so, yeah. But I live here on Earth. While I haven't always wanted to, I clearly am here for a purpose, and I choose me, and I need to give my path and my life more, at least equal energy and support, but to really nourish. And that's back to what I was saying at the beginning about beauty. That's our path. That's our role here. So yeah, so nothing. This isn't me denying what is, or dismissing altogether the truth of what I know, nor is it me abandoning anyone. But it is me making a choice. Like, it's time, it's past time. It's been time for a long time. And I have been reflecting on things I would have done differently, knowing what I know now and who I am now. And I'll just share this for anyone who does come across this video in the future. What I would do differently is, there were points 20 years ago and on my own journey where my instinct told me, when things were happening that were a little crazy, my instinct told me to take a stand for myself, and to I don't like the word fight, but for lack of a better word, to fight for what my own honor and integrity and truth. But I chose to elevate the other individual because I could see the heart, because I could see the pain, I could see the soul wound, and better in that individual than in myself at that point, to be fair. But I I also didn't want to mess anything up, because there was still that fear that I was going to mess something up, and that if I took a stand for me, then that individual I might be messing that up. Or it was also for me involved in systems and in organizations that at the time I had a lot of respect for, and I felt I was so grateful still to have been given the opportunity, that I felt that to take action for myself would mean to bring harm to this larger group of individuals who, it's so ironic now that I think about it, how it all played out. But anyway, that was my thinking back then. And so, if I had to do it over again, I would choose me, and I would speak, and I would take a stand, and I wouldn't always take the back seat and let all of these things that were untrue be said. And I wouldn't just let it be okay when I did speak, the few times when I did speak, and, I told someone what was going on, like, the difficulty I was having in my own life because of certain other individuals' actions, and false stories and that sort of thing. And then that being, just ignored or swept under the rug. That wasn't okay. And yeah, so it just wasn't. And then all of the things that followed, where I, little by little, this person or that person or this group or that group, whether it's the church, then, kicked me out. And then there was this and there was that. And then there was this, story that was spun that was just like, oh, who invented that? But I wasn't laughing back then, see? And I let it just take bits and pieces of me through the years. And I convinced myself that because I was strong, and I was strong, and I am strong, and this is something I believe I agreed to walk through this, what I've been through these couple of decades, but because of that, I would just let little bits go, and I would say, but okay, God will carry me, Jesus will walk with me, and it is true, and I have been loved and protected and lifted up when I needed to be to remain okay and safe. And at the same time, when I look back, I see that there was a different opportunity for me, and that would have been, just to trust in the same way I was trusting, but to take a stand for me, human Dawn, who's here. I was always operating from the highest intention, or I was seeking to, and that was good. Not suggesting you should operate out of the lower ego or anything like that, but that was good. But it really compromised my own human journey in so many ways, and so that's what I would do different in a nutshell. Is to stand tall and to admit I'm imperfect, which I sought to do that, but to not let that fact that I might not know the rules down here, or that I might be a little imperfect, or I might have messed up somehow and I didn't know how, and that freaked me out, to not let that stop me from taking a stand for the fact that I am here, and I am valuable, and I am worthy of making this journey without I honor myself enough that I am not going to allow myself to just get swept to the side time and time again. And I did allow that. I allowed it right up to last year. I have allowed it with people who yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I have, and that's not how I want to live my life anymore. It's just not. So I am, I'm on to what's next, and I'm open for that. And as I mentioned in the last video, I was shown several very interesting potentialities or probabilities or possibilities. We will see. But I know whatever, I'm not waiting for anything, and I intend to, I have kind of an extreme example, because I spent, the larger part of my life, I've never experienced some of them as much as I believe in life, right? That life is about the experience, and that we are here for life, and a life more abundant. The truth is, there is a portion of my life which largely had to do with love and friendship for me, that I have I thought what I was doing was holding it sacred, and I do believe there was a portion of that was intended to be as it was for many years, but that time has passed, and so I didn't allow myself to experience that in the depth, or even in the surface, I mean, yeah, you probably wouldn't even believe me if I told you the degree to which that was true, but in any case, those days are over, and I'm walking into what's next with my innocence and my purity and my essential nature intact. Maybe a little vulnerable, and maybe a little bit unsure, unsteady in some ways, but knowing that there is no failure, there's nothing to be ashamed of, there's there's no blame. There's no blame. There's there's not really any regret even, although I feel sometimes emotionally that sorry, there's a bug crawling on me. Hello. I feel sometimes that they're wow, why didn't I see this sooner? Guess I feel pretty old. I mean, I guess it's silly because, still got some years ahead of me. But I feel like, gosh, I feel like I should be 16 again or something. And, because even then, I had encountered the person who is my divine counterpart at that point, but I had not met him. And even then, because of the awareness that I seem to have come into this life with, there was a part of me that was sort of like, okay, this this must be on hold. Don't put anything on hold. Don't put anything on hold. And most especially your experience of love. And I don't regret my journey, but I would do that differently. So, for what that's worth. So I will be, going on with my summer. I am about to take a trip to England that feels, it's been a long time coming, and I'll be there in the middle of July, and there have been just like confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. I don't know exactly what's happening there, but I do know that the timing is this little b that the timing is intentional, and so I look forward to being with the land there again. It's been since I was a child. I was 14, I guess, the last time I was in England, and I think that's right. Yeah, yeah, and so we'll see. What I'm led to, what experiences I'm led to there. I may or may not share here. I just don't know. And my intention right now is to leave the channel up and leave the Sacred Partnership series up, and to share if I'm guided to share here. And if I will let you guys know what happens, and where I wind up, even if it's just a short post. And I wish all of you, wherever you are, so much joy and so much life. And that's where I want to leave it. It's, what I'm most passionate about, which is that we are called to be here and to be here now and to come to life and to live in full expression and to not allow anything to stop that, not even the high calling to which we have been called. And there is a peace, I believe, and a simplicity and a beauty in the way of life, in the way of nature, in the way of the truth of who you are, your whole self and your soul self, as I like to describe it. So let that lead you on. I wish you just much expansion during this, the solar and lunar eclipse and whatever other eclipse is coming, and all of the changes that are happening in our world, in our earth. And I appreciate you and my connection with you, because although I don't even know many of you, the few of you who watch these videos, I feel such a kinship with you, and I am so grateful for that. Much love.